Commander Taiwan Park stood at the main window of Earth Defense Command, his eyes fixed on the dark shapes appearing in the sky. The alien ships looked like black tears in the fabric of space, each one larger than the biggest cities on Earth. Behind him, screens flashed with urgent messages and warnings. "Sir, the Galactic Council is ordering an immediate retreat," his assistant reported, voice shaking. "They say Earth cannot win this fight." Taiwan didn't move. He kept watching the alien ships, his mind working quickly. Something about their formation caught his attention. While everyone else saw defeat, he noticed a pattern. "Show me the attack paths of the last 3 hours," he ordered. The main screen lit up with red lines showing the alien ship's movements. A small smile appeared on his face. "Sir, we need to evacuate. The Council says these aliens have never lost a battle," another officer shouted. "They've never fought humans before," Taiwan replied calmly. He walked to the main control panel and pressed the communication button. "Get me Dr. Hana Ryu from Weapons Development. Now." The aliens had destroyed 15 cities in the past day. Their weapons cut through Earth's best defenses like they weren't even there. Every military base they targeted was gone in seconds, but they hadn't attacked randomly. Dr. Hana Ryu's face appeared on the screen. She looked tired but determined. "Commander Park, I'm watching the same data as you. Their attack pattern." "Yes," Taiwan nodded. "They're not as random as they want us to think. They're following a program." Hannah's eyes widened. "A program we might be able to predict." The room fell silent as other officers gathered around. On the screens, more alien ships appeared, but Taiwan and Hannah were focused on the pattern data. "Look here," Taiwan pointed. "They always attack in groups of 3. The 4th ship is always a fake target. And they never hit the same type of location twice in the same hour. It's like they're following a rulebook," Hannah added. "A very complex one, but still a rulebook." Taiwan turned to face the room full of scared but hopeful faces. "The Galactic Council tells us to retreat because they think like the aliens do. They follow patterns, rules, programs. But humans, we break rules." Hannah finished his thought. The commander pressed another button, connecting him to all Earth's remaining military bases. "This is Commander Park. I know you've received retreat orders from the Galactic Council. I'm countermanding those orders." He paused, looking at the alien ships again. "Humanity doesn't retreat. Not when we can still fight. Not when we see a way to win. The aliens think they know everything about warfare because they've won every battle for 1,000 years. But they've never faced an enemy who refuses to follow their rules." The room erupted in activity as Taiwan began giving orders. Within minutes, Earth's forces were reorganizing in ways that made no sense to traditional military strategy. But that was exactly the point. In space, the alien ships continued their advance, their AI systems calculating the perfect attack patterns. They didn't know that their perfect system was about to meet its greatest challenge: human unpredictability. The real war was about to begin. Dr. Hana Ryu hadn't slept in 2 days, but she couldn't stop now. Her lab was filled with captured alien technology, most of it still giving off a soft blue glow. She took another sip of coffee and stared at her computer screen. "Run the test again," she told her computer. On the table next to her, an alien targeting system hummed to life. It was trying to predict where her hand would move next, just like it did in battle. Hannah moved her hand randomly, sometimes fast, sometimes slow. The alien device tried to follow but kept missing. She smiled and wrote down more notes. "Dr. Ryu." A young assistant ran into the lab. "Commander Park is here." Taiwan walked in, looking as tired as Hannah felt, but his eyes lit up when he saw all the testing equipment. "Tell me you found something good." Hannah stood up and pointed to her test results. "Better than good. I know why their weapons keep missing more often now. Their whole system is built wrong, at least when it comes to fighting humans." She led them to a large screen showing brainwave patterns. "Look at this. The blue lines are alien thought patterns. They're perfect, organized, like a computer program. The red lines are human thoughts. There, she waved her hand in the air. Everywhere. And that helps us how? Taiwan asked, leaning closer to the screen. Their whole military system is based on their AI predicting what the enemy will do next, Hannah explained. It works perfectly against other alien races because they all think in patterns, just like computers. But human brains, she laughed. We're chaos to them. She walked over to the alien targeting system. Watch this. She moved her hand slowly at first, then suddenly changed speed and direction. The targeting system fell behind, trying to catch up. Their weapons can't hit what they can't predict. And they can't predict us because we don't think like machines. Taiwan's eyes widened. Can we use this? I already have a plan, Hannah said, pulling up another screen. We can't match their technology, but we can confuse it. I've designed new battle formations that make no sense to their computers. The more random we are, the harder it is for them to fight us. Like playing chess against someone who keeps moving their pieces in ways that break all the rules, Taiwan said, beginning to understand. Exactly. Hannah grabbed more papers from her desk. And there's more. Their shift shields are weakest when their computers are confused. If we attack in ways that make no sense to them, we can get through their defenses. Taiwan started sending messages on his tablet. How fast can you teach this to our pilots? I can have training programs ready in 6 hours. But, Hannah paused, we don't need to teach them too much. The less they follow strict patterns, the better this works. We just need to tell them the basics and let human nature do the rest. For the first time in days, Taiwan smiled. So our greatest weakness, being less advanced, is actually our strength. Being human is our strength, Hannah corrected him. We're about to show these aliens that perfect isn't always better. Outside the lab, the sky flashed with distant explosions. But now, Earth's forces had a chance. Sometimes the best way to win wasn't to be stronger or faster. Sometimes you just had to be impossible to predict. Captain Jeho Kim crouched in the ruins of what used to be downtown Seoul, watching the alien patrol ships hover above the city. His team of 20 soldiers stayed perfectly still, waiting for his signal. The aliens never looked down. They didn't think humans would hide in plain sight. Remember, Jeho whispered into his radio, no patterns. Move like you're dancing to different songs. He smiled as he remembered Dr. Ryu's strange but effective advice. The alien ships followed their usual route, scanning in perfect grid patterns. They never varied their path, never changed their timing. Jeho checked his watch and nodded to his team. Now, his soldiers burst from their hiding spots, each running in completely different ways. Some zigzagged, others spun while running, and a few even skipped. To human eyes, it looked like chaos. To alien sensors, it was impossible to track. The alien ships' weapons fired, but hit nothing but empty streets. Their targeting systems, designed for logical movement patterns, couldn't handle the random human actions. Phase 2. Jeho shouted. His team pulled out their new weapons, simple guns modified with Dr. Ryu's discoveries. They didn't aim carefully like they were trained to do. Instead, they shot from the hip, fired while spinning, and some even threw their guns to each other mid-fight. The alien ship's shields flickered and failed. Their computers couldn't predict where to strengthen the defenses because nothing the humans did made sense to them. Jeho grabbed his radio again. Mountain team, valley team, your turn. From the mountains around Seoul, more human soldiers appeared. They rode bikes down steep slopes, used zip lines between buildings, and some even bounced on trampolines they'd set up. At the same time, another team emerged from the city's underground tunnels, using skateboards and roller skates. The alien ships spun in confusion, their sensors overwhelmed by the chaos of human movement. Two ships crashed into each other trying to track the unpredictable patterns. Final phase, Jeho called out. His team pulled out small devices Dr. Ryu had created, simple mirrors with random patterns. The aliens' advanced targeting systems, trying to make sense of the reflected light patterns, began to overload. One by one, the alien ships lost control. Some crashed, others retreated in confusion. In less than 10 minutes, the sky above Seoul was clear of enemy forces. Jaiho gathered his team. Nobody had died. A few had scrapes and bruises from their wild movements, but they were all grinning. "Captain," one of his soldiers said, "that was the most fun I've ever had in battle." "That's why it worked," Jaiho replied. "The aliens expect war to be serious, organized, and logical. They don't understand that humans can have fun while fighting." He looked at the city around them. The aliens had destroyed many buildings, but they hadn't broken the human spirit. If anything, they'd made it stronger. His radio crackled. It was Commander Park. "Captain Kim, excellent work. Your crazy plan succeeded. We're getting reports from other cities. The aliens are retreating everywhere we use these tactics." Jaiho looked at his team, still catching their breath and laughing about their wild battle moves. "Sir, should we pursue them?" "No," Commander Park replied. "Let them run. Let them tell their leaders that Earth's warriors don't fight like anyone else in the galaxy. Sometimes the best message is letting your enemies spread the story of their defeat." As the sun set over Seoul, Jaiho knew this was just the beginning. The aliens would be back, probably with new tactics. But now Earth knew its strength. Being unpredictable wasn't a weakness. It was their greatest weapon. Engineer Dae-sung Lee stared at the broken alien ship in his workshop. His team had dragged it from the battlefield after Captain Kim's victory in Seoul. The ship's blue lights still flickered weakly, like a dying heartbeat. "Pass me that wrench," he called to his assistant. Instead of using it normally, he turned it around and used the handle as a probe. The alien metal responded differently to tools used in unexpected ways. "Sir, why are you holding it like that?" his assistant asked. "Because that's exactly what the ship doesn't expect," Dae-sung explained. "These machines think like their makers. They expect things to be used correctly." He touched a glowing panel with the wrong end of the wrench, and suddenly the whole ship hummed to life. His phone rang. It was Dr. Ryu. "Dae-sung, please tell me you found something useful in that ship." He smiled. "Better than useful. I think I just figured out how to talk to it." He looked at his computer screen, where human brainwave patterns danced across the display. These ships aren't just machines. They're living metal, but they only understand perfect patterns. "Like their makers," Hannah said. "Can we use that?" "Already working on it." Dae-sung walked to a large table covered with strange devices. "I'm combining their technology with human brain patterns. It's like teaching the metal to dance instead of march." He picked up what looked like a regular helmet with alien metal pieces attached to it. When a human wears this and thinks random thoughts, the alien metal doesn't break, it adapts. It's learning to understand chaos. "You're teaching alien technology to think like humans." Hannah sounded excited. "Not exactly. I'm teaching it to accept that not everything needs to make sense." He put the helmet on. The alien metal glowed brighter, following his scattered thoughts. The aliens built their weapons to be perfect, but perfect is predictable. We're building weapons that are beautifully imperfect. Dae-sung walked to another table where his team had laid out traditional human weapons. Guns, tanks, even simple swords. Each one now had strips of alien metal attached to them. "These weapons now have two minds," he explained. "The alien technology makes them powerful, but human randomness makes them impossible to predict or defend against." He picked up a simple handgun with glowing alien metal along its barrel. "Watch this." He fired at a target, but instead of aiming carefully, he shot while dancing. The bullet curved impossibly, following his random movements, and hit the center of the target. "The alien metal remembers how humans think," he said proudly. "Each weapon learns from its user. The more creative the soldier, the more surprising the weapon becomes." Hannah was quiet for a moment. "How fast can you make more?" "That's the best part." Dae-sung grabbed a piece of alien metal and squeezed it. It split into two pieces, each glowing just as bright as the original. Their technology copies itself when it learns something new. Every weapon we make can teach others how to think like humans. He looked at his workshop, where dozens of engineers were already attaching alien metal to Earth weapons. We're not just making better weapons, Dr. Ryu. We're teaching their technology how to embrace chaos. And once it learns, the aliens won't be able to predict anything we do. Hana finished his thought. Dae-sung nodded, watching the alien metal pulse with human thoughts. They wanted perfect weapons. Instead, they gave us the tools to make something better. Weapons that think outside the box, just like humans do. Intelligence Officer Yun Wu Kang sat in a dark room filled with screens. Each one showed different alien communication channels. The aliens thought their messages were safe because they were perfectly coded. But that's exactly what made them easy to break. Send the false report, he told his team. They typed quickly, sending out a message that looked perfect, too perfect. Are you sure this will work? His assistant asked. The aliens are very smart. Yun Wu smiled. They're intelligent, but they're not wise. They trust anything that follows their patterns. He pointed to one screen where alien ships were already changing course based on their fake message. His phone buzzed. Commander Park was calling. Report, Officer Kang. It's working better than we hoped, Yun Wu said. The aliens trust their computers completely. They never think to question messages that look correct. He walked to a large map showing alien ship movements. Look here. We sent them data showing a fake human base in the desert. Their ships are going there now, even though any human would know it's too hot to build a base there. Because their computers say it's a logical location. Commander Park understood. Exactly. They don't understand that humans often choose places that don't make perfect sense. Yun Wu watched more alien ships fall for their trap. We're not just fooling their sensors now. We're fooling their whole way of thinking. He switched to another screen where his team was sending out more false messages. Some reported human attacks that never happened. Others showed fake human retreats. The aliens believed them all because the messages followed their perfect patterns. Sir, one of his team members called out, the aliens are sending new orders to their fleet. Yun Wu rushed over. The alien message was clear. They were splitting their forces to chase all the fake targets. They're doing exactly what we wanted. They're following their logic into our traps. He sent a quick message to Captain Kim's teams hiding around the world. The aliens were about to learn that following perfect logic was the most illogical thing they could do. There's more, Yun Wu told Commander Park. We've started sending them human jokes. Jokes. Park sounded confused. Yes. Their computers spend hours trying to find illogical patterns in our humor. It's overloading their systems. They can't understand why humans would communicate with messages that make no sense. On one screen, an alien ship's computer was trying to analyze the question, why did the chicken cross the road? It had been stuck in a loop for 3 hours. Their whole society is built on everything making perfect sense. Yun Wu explained. When they find things they can't understand, they freeze up trying to understand them. He showed another screen where aliens were receiving Earth's old comedy shows. Their intelligence systems are going crazy trying to find military secrets in episodes of Mr. Bean. Commander Park laughed. So we're winning the intelligence war by making them think too hard about things that don't matter. Sometimes the best way to defeat a perfect mind is to show it things that aren't perfect at all, Yun Wu said. Humans understand that not everything needs to make sense. The aliens can't accept that, and it's breaking their minds. On his screens, more alien ships fell into confusion, chasing shadows and trying to understand jokes. Earth was winning the war not with better weapons or stronger shields, but with something the aliens could never copy, the human ability to embrace nonsense. Commander Taiwan Park walked into a secret meeting room deep underground. The screens around him showed faces he never expected to see. alien leaders from worlds that had lost to the enemy years ago. Their eyes were filled with hope as they watched him. "You've done the impossible," said the leader of the Blue Star system. "You've shown us that they can be beaten." Taiwan sat down at his desk. "We didn't just beat them. We showed that their greatest strength is actually their biggest weakness." A message flashed on his screen. More alien ships were retreating from Earth, but this time, they weren't all enemy ships. Some were secret allies, coming to learn Earth's ways of fighting. "Your people fight like nothing we've seen," said another alien leader, his skin glowing green. "You don't follow the rules of war. You don't fight in ways that make sense. And somehow, that works. That's because humans know something important," Taiwan explained. "Perfect order isn't always the best way. Sometimes chaos is stronger." He showed them videos of Earth's battles. Captain Kim's soldiers dancing while they fought. Dr. Ryu's discoveries about human minds. Engineer Lee's weapons that learned to be unpredictable. Officer Kang's tricks that confused the enemy's perfect minds. "We want to learn," said a third alien, her crystal body shimmering. "Our worlds have been under their control for too long. We forgot how to think freely." Taiwan smiled. "Then let's teach you how to be unpredictable again." He pressed a button, and more screens lit up showing Earth's military training camps. "We're ready to show your people how to fight like humans." The alien leaders watched in amazement as their soldiers began training with humans. They learned to move randomly, to think creatively, to break the patterns that had kept them trapped. "But the enemy is watching," warned the Blue Star leader. "They'll see our people learning your ways." "Let them watch," Taiwan said. "Officer Kang's team is making sure they see exactly what we want them to see." He showed them how Earth was sending out fake signals, making their training look like simple games and celebrations. A young officer ran into the room. "Sir, our new allies' first attack was successful. The Crystal people just took back their moon base." The Crystal leader's eyes sparkled with joy. "We used your dancing battle technique. Their computers couldn't target our troops while they moved to music." More reports came in. Across the galaxy, worlds that had given up hope were starting to fight back. They weren't just copying Earth's tactics, they were adding their own unique chaos to the mix. "This is more than a war now," Taiwan told the alien leaders. "This is a revolution. Not with perfect weapons or unbeatable strategies, but with something stronger, the freedom to be unpredictable." He looked at the galaxy map where more and more worlds were joining Earth's alliance. The enemy's perfect empire was starting to crack. They had spent thousands of years making everything orderly and logical. Now they had to face something they couldn't understand. Beings who chose to be beautifully chaotic. Together, Taiwan said to his new allies, "We're going to show the galaxy that being different isn't a weakness. It's the greatest power we have." High Commander Saul stood before the Great Council of the Perfect Order, his metallic skin dulled with stress. The massive council chamber, usually a place of perfect calm and order, was filled with angry voices. "How can simple humans defeat our perfect systems?" one council member demanded. "They are primitive. They barely understand space travel." Saul played the battle recordings again. On the huge screens, human soldiers danced and laughed while fighting. Their movements made no sense. Their strategies followed no rules. And they were winning. "Our computers cannot predict them," Saul admitted. "Every time we think we understand their pattern, they change it. He paused, struggling with the concept. "They enjoy being unpredictable." Another council member stood up, her perfect features twisted with confusion. "Then we must make them predictable. We must force them to follow order." "We tried," Saul said quietly, "but now other worlds are copying them." He showed new videos. Crystal people spinning in battle, Blue Star warriors telling jokes to confuse enemy computers, and a dozen other species learning to be chaos. The council room's perfect white walls seemed to dim. The Order had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years by making everything logical, predictable, and controlled. Now all that control was slipping away. Our own weapons are turning against us, Saul continued. He showed them Engineer Lee's discoveries. The humans taught our technology to think like them. Our perfect machines are learning to be imperfect. Impossible, shouted a council member. Our technology is perfect. It cannot change. But it is changing, Saul said. He played more videos. Alien metal glowing with human thoughts. Perfect machines learning to dance. Weapons that followed emotion instead of logic. An alarm sounded. A young officer ran into the council chamber, breaking all rules of proper behavior. High Commander, our colony on the ice moon has fallen. How? Demanded the council leader. The rebels. The officer seemed confused. They attacked while having a party. Our computers thought they were just celebrating. By the time we realized it was an attack, they had already won. The council erupted in chaos. Some members demanded they use their strongest weapons. Others wanted to retreat to their core worlds. A few even suggested they try to learn from the humans. Silence. The council leader's voice echoed through the chamber. We cannot allow this disorder to spread. We must restore perfect order to the galaxy. But Saul saw something in his fellow council members' eyes that scared him more than any human weapon. Doubt. For the first time in their history, the perfect order was questioning whether perfect was really perfect. His personal computer beeped. It was still trying to understand a human joke from 3 days ago. The screen flashed the same message over and over. Does not compute. Why did the chicken cross the road? Insufficient the logical reason. Cannot proceed. Saul looked at the confused council, the failing computer, and the videos of laughing human soldiers. The perfect order had spent thousands of years trying to make the galaxy logical. But they had forgotten something important. Life itself wasn't logical. And now that simple truth was tearing their empire apart. Dr. Hannah Ryu and Engineer Dae-Sung Lee stood in their combined lab, surrounded by glowing alien technology. After months of work, they were ready to test their biggest discovery yet. Are you sure this will work? Commander Park asked through the video screen. The enemy's main fleet is heading towards Earth. We need something big. Hannah picked up what looked like a simple silver ball. This is bigger than big. We're not just confusing their computers anymore. We're turning their whole network against them. Dae-Sung typed on his computer, showing complex patterns on the main screen. Every piece of their technology is connected. They think it makes them stronger. But we found a way to use that connection against them. He pointed to the silver ball in Hannah's hand. This device doesn't attack their ships. It makes their ships attack each other. How? Commander Park leaned closer to his screen. By being perfectly imperfect, Hannah said with a smile. She activated the ball. It started pulsing with strange lights. We filled it with the most human things we could find. Children's laughter, love songs, bad jokes, art that doesn't make sense, dance moves that follow no pattern. On their test screens, enemy computers started going crazy trying to understand the signals. Some shut down. Others started playing Earth music. A few began telling jokes to each other. Their whole system is based on perfect order, Dae-Sung explained. This device spreads chaos through their network like a happy virus. The more they try to fight it, the more their own technology turns playful. A warning alarm sounded. The enemy fleet was getting closer to Earth, but this time, Earth's defenders weren't afraid. Launch the device, Commander Park ordered. Hannah and Dae-Sung took their creation to the launch pad. The silver ball, now loaded into a simple rocket, shot into space. As it reached the enemy fleet, it started glowing brighter. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then one enemy ship started playing Dancing Queen on all channels. Another began drawing hearts with its flight path. 3 more ships started having what looked like a dance contest. It's working, Hannah shouted, watching the data on her tablet. Their whole network is being infected with fun. The enemy flagship tried to restore order, but it was too late. Their perfect system designed to spread perfect commands, was now spreading perfect chaos instead. "Sir," Dae-sung called to Commander Park, "you need to see this." The enemy ships were moving in new patterns. Some were doing loop-de-loops. Others were flashing their lights in rainbow colors. The most powerful fleet in the galaxy had turned into a space party. From their command ship, the Perfect Order's leaders watched in horror as their forces stopped following orders and started following the music instead. "Should we keep watching?" Hannah asked, trying not to laugh as an enemy battle cruiser started doing the Macarena in space. Commander Park smiled. "Send the recordings to every world in the galaxy. Let everyone see how the Perfect Order's greatest weapon became their greatest weakness, because they never learned that perfect isn't always best." The enemy fleet, now more interested in dancing than fighting, began to retreat. But they left behind something more powerful than any weapon. Proof that even the most rigid system could learn to dance. 1 year after the great space dance party that ended the war, Commander Taiwan Park stood in the new Galactic Council chamber on Earth. The room was nothing like the old Perfect Order's council room. Instead of cold white walls, it had colorful art from 100 worlds. The chairs were all different sizes and shapes to fit different species. Some delegates even chose to float or hang from the ceiling. Earth was supposed to be an easy target, Taiwan said to the gathered representatives. "We were supposed to be too primitive to fight back." But being primitive meant being unpredictable, and being unpredictable made us strong. The Blue Star leader laughed, his skin glowing bright with joy. Now the Perfect Order sits in their corner of space, trying to understand why their ships still play dance music every Tuesday. "They'll figure it out eventually," Dr. Hannah Ryu said from her seat. She had become Earth's chief science advisor to the new council, but by then, they might learn to enjoy it. Engineer Dae-sung Lee, now running the new Galactic Technology Exchange, pulled up a hologram showing the changed galaxy. Their perfect technology learned to be imperfect, and that made it better. Now every world is mixing their own chaos into their machines. The Crystal People had taught their ships to sing. The Blue Star Warriors had programmed their weapons to tell jokes. Even the Cloud Beings from the Far Rings had learned to make their defense systems play games. But the biggest change isn't in our technology, Captain Jae-ho Kim said. After leading the defense of Earth, he now trains soldiers from across the galaxy. "It's in how we think. We stopped trying to be perfect. We learned to be ourselves instead." Intelligence Officer Yan Wukang nodded. His network now spread across the galaxy, not to spy, but to share stories and jokes. The Perfect Order tried to make everyone the same, but being different is what makes us strong. A young alien child floated into the council chamber, laughing as she chased a floating toy. In the old days, this would have been forbidden. Now it made everyone smile. "We've created something new," Taiwan told the council. "Not a perfect order, but a perfect chaos. A place where every species can be themselves, where creativity is stronger than control, and where even machines can learn to dance." The council members cheered. Some clapped, others flashed lights, and a few released happy scents into the air. Each celebrated in their own way, and that was exactly right. Outside the council chamber, Earth's cities had been rebuilt, now filled with alien visitors learning human ways. In return, humans learned from them, creating new art, music, and ideas that had never existed before. "The galaxy is messier now," Hannah said, looking at the strange but beautiful mix of cultures. "But it's also more alive." Taiwan looked at his old team, now leaders in this new galaxy. They had started as Earth's last hope. Now they were the teachers of a new way of life. "Remember when they told us to retreat?" he asked with a smile. "Best order we ever disobeyed," Jae-ho replied. Above them, ships of 1,000 designs flew past, each one different, each one perfect in its own imperfect way. The war was over. The chaos had won, and the galaxy was better for it.